Our chalice lighting this morning are the words from the Oberlin Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We light this chalice to find inner peace, love for each other, and faith in ourselves. Also to be welcoming to whoever we meet and kind to all living creatures. So gather around this light of hope as we share this time together.
This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. This is the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on song. I am Abigail, and this is Sean, and we're so glad that you've turned this on and welcomed us into your home, and you are welcome into our home. We're in Dayton, Ohio. We're in Sean's parents' house.
My parents' house.
Sean's parents' house. We were in Louisville when the shit hit, and we packed our 3-year-old into a car. We drove kind of far. We drove here, and we've been so lucky and blessed to be safely here. And we thought we'd be here for like 10 days, tops.
What did we know?
What did we know?
What did we know?
We thought we knew a lot. We thought we knew a lot.
Keep going,
Woo!
keep going
on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. This is a keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on song. And we've been mostly healthy. We've been okay. Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? Are you all right? Are you okay? I hope your body is whole tonight. And if your heart is breaking, I hope it's breaking open. And if your breath is shaking, I hope it's shaking through. And I hope that you've watched a lot of really great television, like a lot of it. And I hope that you find a hand lotion that actually makes your skin feel better. And I hope that you have enough to eat. I hope you're getting enough sleep. And I hope you have enough good company or enough good memory to last you a long time. Keep going on. Keep going on song. We sing the keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going on. Keep going on. This is
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Worcester's online Sunday morning worship service. We're so glad that you've joined us virtually this morning. It's an act of love that we gather this way during this time of pandemic response. We hope that this service gives you an opportunity to pause for a few minutes, to gather in community so that we might care for each other, take a moment to reflect on our own well-being, and discover opportunities for spiritual refreshment, even as we are at a personal distance. We will gather this way at least through the fall. Throughout the next few weeks, our religious exploration program will be offering opportunities for children and youth to gather virtually as well. Please visit www.uucworcester.org for more information on these get-togethers, as well as opportunities to meet for discussion and support. For safety purposes and so that we might come to know you better as you are able, please list your name on your video feed. Please note that this service is being live streamed over Facebook and is being recorded and will be available on the church YouTube channel and website archive in the coming days. Following this service, you are invited to join us for a virtual fellowship hour by staying on the Zoom channel. Our opening words this morning, this is our temple, words adapted from Ma Teresa Tet Castillo Guardo. There is my temple. This is our temple. Believer, unbeliever, or wild one, you are welcome. We have no definition of who we are but human. We have no code but that of respect. We have no creed but that of equality. This is our temple. Identity seeker, sinner, stateless or not, you are welcome. We have no constraints on expression but space. We have no code but to listen to poetry between the silence and the surrender. This is our temple, nature tripper, urban dweller, or saint. You are welcome. How shall we divide the world but by our breaths? We have no pope above us, no infallible bull. We have no judgment but in terms of harm. This is our temple, history maker, marginalized, unorganized. You are welcome. We have no covenant among us but mutual assistance. We insist on no assumptions and doubt moral facts. We are free to theorize with emotion and call it hope. This is our temple, becoming, unbecoming, expert, robe or disrobe, you are welcome. We have no dwarfs or giants. Goliath fell long ago. We have no seal on revelation. Tentative is truth, led by our desires and served by our power. This is our temple, funny, temperamental, shy, or wise. You are welcome. There is not one way of being human, not even Superman. We have no world but that which we together create. There is as much wisdom in harmony as in dissent. Our opening hymn this morning performed by a quintet from the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Columbia, South Carolina, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all it inspire, and have not love, my words are vain, as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess, and striving so my love profess, but not be given by love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control, our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are free.
Our religious exploration moment comes this morning from our religious exploration director, Robin Mitskovich.
Hi, everybody. So this morning on our 9 a.m. family Zoom, we are continuing our curriculum in diversity and racial justice. We spoke this morning about the word empathy and read a book called Given from the Heart. We asked children, can they imagine what someone else might feel, even if that person is really different from them? And I just wanted to share a quote that comes from the curriculum that I really took to heart before we taught this lesson. And it's from Frederick Buechner. If we are to love our neighbors, before doing anything else, we must see our neighbors with our imagination as well as our eyes, like artists. We must see not just their faces, but the life behind and within their faces. Here it is love that is the frame we see them in. This afternoon, we meet with our middle school group, which have named themselves the Masked Bandits, and we're going to start conversations on what they believe and what they think their personal purposes in being in this world together. And later this afternoon, the youth group meets as we prepare more for our Halloween celebration that's happening on Halloween. We will do a safety filled Halloween parade. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robin. Our reading this morning comes from Conscious Business: How to Build Value Through Values. The story of the little monk and the samurai. A big, tough samurai once went to see a little monk. "Monk," he barked in a voice accustomed to instant obedience. Teach me about heaven and hell. The monk looked up at the mighty warrior and replied with utter disdain, teach you about heaven and hell. I couldn't teach you about anything. You're dumb. You're dirty. You're a disgrace, an embarrassment to the samurai class. Get out of my sight. I can't stand you. The samurai got furious. He shook, red in the face. Speechless with rage, he pulled out his sword and prepared to slay the monk. Looking straight into the samurai's eyes, the monk said softly, that's hell. The samurai froze, realizing the compassion of the monk who hadn't risked his life to show him hell. He put down his sword and fell to his knees, filled with gratitude. The monk said softly, and that is heaven. We come to that time in our service when we are given an opportunity to share that which is symbolic and reflective of our own values, our own work, the way we are in the world, and the way that we can contribute to the well-being of others, especially at this time, the well-being of this congregation as it continues to carry out its mission and ministries. I invite you to participate in this morning's offering by texting 508-231-5335 or by visiting www.uucworcester.org/donate. By way of good news this day, I would share with you that our Loaves and Fishes Food Pantry continued its monthly distribution yesterday, gathering so that those who are in need of food were able to simply drive up in the parking lot, newly paved, and to receive food for the month. There were a host of volunteers that were engaging in appropriate social distancing and wearing their masks and delivering food to cars. It is a symbolic of the continuing effort of this congregation that this ministry continues to thrive, especially during this very challenging time when so many in our neighborhood and our city, our commonwealth and our country, and the world over seek sources of food. Thank you for continuing to support us in all that we do. At this time, our morning offering will be received. We come to that time in our service when we're given pause to consider what is deepest in our hearts or most profoundly on our minds, or in the work of our hands in the days that have transpired, or in the prospect of days to come. Joys and sorrows that touch us deeply and are given another measure of meaning because of our capacity to share them in the midst of a company that claims us as a co-journeyer. So I invite those of you who have joys or sorrows at this time to open up your microphones so that I might call on you and we might spotlight you as you share. Please note again that this portion of the service is being live streamed on Facebook and recorded to appear on our YouTube channel and Facebook and website archive. Are there joys or sorrows to be shared this day? Tom.
Yeah, as you know from reading the weekend message that Rita passed away on Friday. She fell asleep in her chair at the Oasis about 11 in the morning, take a nap, and they couldn't wake her up. And so she had a very peaceful passing. I'm relieved of that. I'm also feeling blessed. She didn't like having Alzheimer's. She cried sometimes when she couldn't. She said, "My brain doesn't work." So this is sad, but it's a relief and a blessing as well. But thank you everybody for sending me emails and messages and things. I appreciate it. It's nice to know the family's still there, even though we don't get to see each other very much.
Thank you so much, Tom. Diane.
Morning, everybody. It's been a long time since I got to tell a food pantry story, but I have a wonderful story that you all share a part of, because if you've ever contributed to the pantry, helped pack bags on Friday night, stood behind tables, helped give food to cars, whatever you have done, you have helped partner a woman along named Elizabeth. Elizabeth's been a pantry client for about 8 years. For all of the time that we have known her, she's worked on and off as a CNA, trying to raise some children and pursuing a nursing degree at the same time. We were her only source of food besides what she was able to get by virtue of her job, in addition to paying her rent or whatever. And we knew recently that she passed her nursing program and passed the NCLEX, the nursing exam. And on Monday, she begins a new job as an RN. And we were so thrilled to hear it yesterday. We encircled her car and saying she's a jolly good nurse. And she's just so thrilled to have been supported by us for all those years. So I pass that along to all of you with great joy for her this morning.
Diane, thank you so very much. Paul Marr.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, on the 16th of October, Friday, it was the 51st anniversary of my brother's passing. I was 19 at the time, and he was shot on Fern Street. And I just wanted to make that knowledge because it's really tragic when you're really young and people die in your family. I mean, people might, he was like 4 years older than me. So, oh, one last thing. I guess Linda Morse is going to be going in for some surgery this week. So,
Thank you so
I don't
much.
know what it is, but I know she said she was going in for some surgery. So keep her in her thoughts.
Thank you so very much, Paul. We have from the chat at this time, congrats to Sean from Sherry Lynn for finding full-time employment right in our neighborhood, as well as celebrating his 38th birthday. Happy birthday, Sean. And Kim writes prayers for Uncle Brian, age 49. who's had a stroke 2 weeks ago and is not progressing well. He was moved to a long-term care facility this week. Also, my father-in-law needs surgery to remove his gallbladder, and he is in a lot of pain. We honor them as well. Bernadette. You need to unmute yourself, Bernie.
Okay, can you hear me?
There you go.
Good morning, everyone. I want to echo my sympathies, my deepest sympathies to Tom on the sudden passing of Rita. I know you worked hard to find her a nice facility at the Oasis, and she wasn't there long. I'm also very humbled and gratified to see that you're able to see her passing as a blessing, in that it ends her suffering here on earth. And again, my sympathies to you. I want to congratulate little baby Victor David, who is now at home from the ICU at the hospital. And I also express concern that, my husband works for the TNG, and this constant change in the newspaper business, as Aaron knows, with his wife's employment. And the owner of the TNG, Gannett Media, is going through some reorganization right now. And, we're again on pins and needles, and hopefully things will work out for all of us in the news business. So thank you for letting me share this morning.
Thank you, Bernie. Sharon Templeman writes, our friend who had bypass surgery is in rehab and she's doing well. We talked to her via Zoom, and she's in good spirits. Thank you for your prayers. And Diane writes, Deb Van Battenberg will have hip replacement surgery November 5th, sending healing thoughts her way. Are there any other joys or sorrows to be shared this day? This morning, before we head into our time of prayer and meditation, I want to share with you the honor that I had yesterday to celebrate the life of Huang Higgins, who was a accounting professor for 20-some years at WPI, who was diagnosed with very rare disease 8 months ago and who died last week. It was an online service that featured reflections from so many of the colleagues that she cared for over the years at WPI, and her family, her husband Reed, and daughter Annie, and son Conan, as well as many other family members and close friends. It was my honor to be able to reflect with them on the meaning of Dr. Higgins' life in their lives. And it was also very important to her to reflect her real regard for our congregation by asking me to do this. That came from the funeral home that she, for years, had regarded us as a place of that she wanted to honor as well. And so I share that with you as a way of helping us remember the circle of people that reflect and continue to relate to us, even though they may not be physically present at any given moment. Let us be in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Spirit of life, source of our inner and outermost being, we come this time in remembrance of those who have gone before us and who have helped to enrich our lives and create for us meaning, purpose, and hope. We honor this day the passing of Rita Pierce, Huang Higgins, so that we might continue to remember them in our very being, surrounding Tom, husband of Rita, and Reed, husband of Huang, with all manner of loving kindness, as well as that of their families. Mindful this day also of the joys of our shared existence, the arriving home of infants hospitalized, for Victor David, for Mason, who has made his way into our world, and the joy that their families share with us. Also, keeping in mind today the anxiety provoked by economic uncertainty, by decisions made in corporate hierarchies that affect us deeply and for which we have little measure of control. And for that which we can contribute to the world, ongoing service to those in need and companionship for each other during this anxious and uncertain time. We would remember also the anniversary of those who have gone before us, our brothers and our sisters, our families and our friends, and continue to honor them as we remember them fully alive, through us and by us. And for all manner of health and well-being for those who continue to strive for such. May all beings be whole and healthy. May all beings be at peace. For all that is true, right, real, and good this day, we give great thanks. Amen. And blessed be.
The people who lift me up. Gonna ride with the people who share the load. Leave the haters and the fakers on the side of the road. Gonna be with the people who believe in me. Gonna stand by the people who stand by me. Gonna work with the people who work for peace. Gonna lend them a little of my elbow grease. I'll walk with the people, walking hand in hand. Gonna stand with the people who take a stand. I'm gonna dream with the people who dream of light. Sing a lullaby to chase away the night. Tie myself to the people who set me free. Gonna stand by the people who stand by me. Gonna work with the people who work for peace. Gonna lend them a little of my elbow grease. I'll walk with the people, walking hand in hand. Gonna stand with the people who take a stand. I'm going back to the people who have my back. Leave the haters and the fakers along the side of the track. Took me way too long to say enough is enough. Gonna lift up the people who lift me up. The people who lift me up. The people who lift me up. The people
Hear these words by Howard Thurman. Waiting is a window opening on many landscapes. For some, waiting means the cessation of all activity when energy is gone and exhaustion is all at the heart that the heart can manage. It is the long, slow panting of the spirit. For some, waiting is a time of intense preparation for the next leg of the journey. Here, at last, comes the moment when forces can be realigned and a new attack upon an old problem set in order. Or it may be a time for reassessment of all plans and of checking past failures against present insight. Waiting may be a long moment ahead when the landscape stretches for many directions and the chance to select one's way among many choices cannot be denied. For some, waiting is the essence of disaster of the soul. It is what Francis Thompson suggests in the line, "Naked I wait thy love's uplifted stroke." The last hiding place has been abandoned because even the idea of escape is without meaning. Here is no fear, no panic, only the sheer excruciation of utter disaster. It is a kind of emotional blackout in the final moment before the crash. It is the passage through the zone of treacherous quiet. For many, waiting is something more than all of this. It is the experience of recovering balance when catapulted from one's place. It is the quiet forming of a pattern of recollection in which there is called into focus the fragmentary values from many encounters of many kinds in a lifetime of living. It is to watch and a gathering darkness until all light is swallowed up completely without the power to interfere or bring a halt. Then in that darkness to continue one's journey with one's footsteps guided by the illumination of remembered radiance. This is to know courage of a particular kind. The courage to demand the light, to continue to be light, even in the surrounding darkness. To walk in the light while darkness invades, envelops, and surrounds. This is to wait on the Lord, says Thurman. This is to know the renewal of strength. This is to walk and faint not. These words speak to me in this moment of time. Anticipation, normally the subject of the season of Advent, has come like a storm, and we look toward the unknown future of results of the surging pandemic and the election now underway in many states. And not that I'm wishing Christmas to start any earlier than it does, for which the Hallmark Channel, it's eternal and year-round. The experience, I feel, is also central to the topic of the reflection this morning, namely the difference between wisdom and intelligence. A couple of years ago, Zat Reina published an article on the subject of wisdom on medium.com, which began, "It's often been said that wisdom is the art of knowing that you are not wise," taking as it does the dictum first shared by Socrates over 2,000 years ago. For the philosopher, humility is the precondition of wisdom. For the blogger, this definition needed to be fleshed out a bit, for while knowing something means the ability to apply knowledge in a particular context, wisdom for Reina involved both knowing and understanding. Intelligence, writes the blogger, gives you specific utility. Wisdom inspires flexible versatility. By way of example, Reina notes, if you're a student, for example, and you know who you are, and you're given a writing exam and it's a difficult one, let's say you decide to cheat. Now, unfortunately, when you cheat, you get caught, it leads to a failing grade in the course. The one thing to learn from this experience that would add to your intelligence would be the fact that cheating on an exam has consequences, and those consequences, while improbable, have a disproportionately negative impact on your life. It's simply not worth it in the future. The extra step that would translate the intelligence in that particular scenario into broadly applicable wisdom would be to realize that not only is it not worth cheating on an exam due to the harsh consequences, but that in most things in the world that carry disproportionately costly risks should be approached cautiously, whether they be financial decisions or personal life choices. In other words, wisdom is the result of the deep connections that we may draw from particular experiences that give rise to ways of being that help us navigate not just the particulars of life, but also give us a sense of overall meaning. To illustrate this, consider the words of Geoffrey Lockwood. Once upon a time, a thief snuck into a room of a sleeping Buddhist monk. As the burglar rummaged around, the monk awoke. The startled thief ran into the snowy streets, with the monk racing after him, shouting, "Please stop," the monk called, and the man finally did, realizing that his pursuer was no threat. "You'll need this," the monk gasped, handing him his wool coat. "What do you mean?" the man asked. "I saw that you dashed from my room into the cold without so much as a winter wrap, and I realized that I had both a woolen blanket and a coat." Having heard this implausible tale of sainthood years ago, writes Lockwood, I forgot the details but remembered the essential events. Ordinary people can't be morally compelled to make such extraordinary sacrifices. But for whatever reason, perhaps the sheer absurdity of such an unconditional altruism, the parable stuck with me. It rattled around in my skeptical mind until one day my wife played the role of the Buddhist monk. Nan and I headed to the mountains for the day, skiing with our children, who were 4 and 6 at the time. In the chaos of packing up that morning, we'd forgotten our daughter's mittens. The wind was whipping and the mercury hovered in the teens, so no mittens meant no skiing. But for Nan, the solution was obvious as it was simple. She always wore 2 pairs of socks. So she removed the outer layer and pulled them over Aaron's hands. Problem solved. We headed down the trail. I found her approach rather clever, he writes, the sort of practical motherly thing that often eludes my analytical mind, but hardly heroic. However, the bitter cold and the woolen warmth evoked the parable of the monk's coat among the snow-hushed pines. I remember how the dialogue ended. I don't understand, said the man. It's simple, said the monk. You have nothing at all to keep you warm. But you're a fool to give away your coat, leaving you only with a blanket, the man replied, reaching for the garment. If I had 2 gloves on one hand and none on the other, would I be a fool for not putting one on my bare hand? Asked the monk. The man said nothing, took the coat, and hurried down the street. When we are not alienated, when love draws us into the suffering of others, writes Lockwood, when we see our happiness intertwined in their well-being, then generosity is neither foolish nor heroic. It is the simplest and most obvious choice. For us this morning, this question perhaps is what kinds of experience, intelligence culminated in the actions or wisdom of the monk, and perhaps now the thief. Had the thief experienced the monk's action as rage and retribution as he had expected, then the experience becomes yet another opportunity to gain intelligence. There are consequences for one's actions. However, by the application of generosity, of heart, Wisdom makes its way into the story and provides the meaning for the transformation of a transaction between strangers into an opportunity to bond as fellow beings. Intelligence helps us learn what is right and wrong. Wisdom turns every moment into an opportunity to reflect what is deepest in us. On this point, and the point of the story, Daniel Goleman writes in his book on emotional intelligence, impulse is the medium of emotion. Those who are at the mercy of impulse, who lack self-control, suffer a moral deficiency. The ability to control impulse is the base of will and character. By the same token, the root of altruism lies in empathy, the ability to read emotions in others. Lacking a sense of another's need or despair, there is no caring. This is perhaps what the author of the Gospel of Matthew intended to convey when he wrote of Jesus, saying, "You have heard it that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist an evildoer. But if someone strikes you on your right cheek, turn to their other also. And if one wants to sue you and to take your coat, give them your cloak as well. And if anyone forces you to go a mile, go also a second mile. Give to everyone who begs from you, and do not refuse anyone who wants to borrow from you." At this time in our lives, individually and as a community, as a commonwealth and as a country, is there any more important lesson than this? If we think that the prophet entreats us to self-abuse or to be willingly abused by others, then we completely misunderstand the story of the monk and the thief, and that which the author of the Gospel of Matthew sought to convey. Now is the time for us to live our most generous, compassionate, wise selves. It is by our example that the world will be transformed, not by how much knowledge we gain. Perhaps it is best illustrated in the words that have been shared with children by my colleague Angels Aaron in an invocation for children of the future, which we all are. Words that conclude this reflection. May you be powerfully loving and lovingly powerful. May you always have love be your guide with family, friends, and colleagues. Remember to listen carefully to your own heart and to the heart of others. May you have the courage to always follow your dreams. Take an action every day to support your life dream, your love nature, and your integrity. May you have the strength to overcome fear and pride, and instead follow what has heart and meaning for you. You may be the guardians of truth, beauty, creativity, and laughter. May you protect, preserve, and care for Mother Nature and the wilderness. May you show respect to people of all ages and races, and all living things, and help all living things keep their dignity. May you help make a better world for the poor, the sick, the elderly, the youth. Be an active, committed, and positive force in your community. May you value and maintain your health and the health and well-being of others. May you respect always human beings' access their own spirituality. May you create a global community committed to peace and nonviolence. May you keep learning, asking questions, explore, discover, and always maintain curiosity and hope. May you honor and respect diversity and the beauty and magic that occurs when differences join to create something far greater than one can imagine. May you constantly bring your gifts and talents forward every day without hesitation or reservation. May you honor your ancestors and all those who have gone before you, for they have paved the way for you to do what you are here to do. With deep gratitude and respect for all that you will do to make this earth a better place in which to live. Amen. And blessed be.
Amen.
I invite you to join me in a litany. You may respond, read the whole thing with me, or respond, if you will, with words that are in bold. May every creature abound in well-being and peace.
May every living being equal strong, the
Long,
and
the small, the short and the medium-sized, the mean and the great. May every living being, seen or unseen, those dwelling far off, those living nearby, those already born, those waiting to be born, may all attain inward peace. Let no one deceive the other. Let no one despise another in any situation. Let no one from antipathy or hatred wish evil to anyone at all. Just as a mother with her own life protects her only child from hurt, so within yourself foster a limitless concern for every living creature. Display a heart of boundless love for all the world in all its height and depth and broad extent. Love unrestrained, without hate or enmity. Then as you stand or walk, sit or lie, until overcome by drowsiness, devote your mind entirely to this. It is known as living the life divine. Please join together in our closing hymn, number 168, One More Step.
One more step, we will take one more step, till there is peace for us and everyone will take one more step. One more word, we will say one more word, till every word is heard by everyone. We'll say one more word. One more song, we will sing one more song, till every song is sung by everyone. We'll sing one more song. One more hand, we will hold one more hand, till every hand is held throughout the land. We'll hold one more hand. One more step, we will take one more step, till there is peace for us and everyone will take one more step.
Our closing words this morning by my colleague, Samuel Trumbore. Go forth in simplicity. Find and walk the path that leads to compassion and wisdom, that leads to happiness, peace, and ease. Welcome the stranger and open your heart to a world in need of healing. Be courageous before the forces of hate. Hold and embody a vision of a common good that serves the needs of all people. Amen, and blessed be.